Hi, everyone. My name is Stephen Paw, and I'm the managing editor at CBR.com.
And I'm Ben Kendrick, the publisher of ScreenRant.com.
And together, we are The First Rule. This is a podcast where we go through all of our social media channels and read the comments for some reason. Join us on our mission. No, this is not technically about Jedi banging, but well, kind of. It's the product of banging, which let's all remember here that if you congratulate your friends for having babies, you're just congratulating them for having productive sex. So good job, everyone. Keep that up out there. We wrote an article called Star Wars Theory Broom Boy is Luke Skywalker's Son by Brenna Cole. Thank you, Brenna. And this is all based on something we found on Reddit. Okay, so which we'll get to in a little bit, but it is essentially that people were talking about who Broom Boy is. Now, do you remember who Broom Boy is in The Last Jedi, or at the end of The Last Jedi, Ben?
I remember he scoops up a broom and he's a boy, but he scoops up the broom with the Force.
That is correct. That is a well described variation of whatever happened. Yeah, so what that was put in there for, what that character was put in there for, is ostensibly by Rian Johnson, who directed the film, just saying anybody can have the Force. That was the whole point of the thing. His particular movie, it didn't matter. You didn't have to have lineages. And then one of the biggest problems that Star Wars fans had in the last or Rise of Skywalker was that nope, JK, only Skywalkers and Palpatines have like this monumental power.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So we covered this. Now, this character apparently has a name. It's Tamiri Blag. And Tamiri Blag could use like the Force at such a young age, and people were like, what? Like, how is that?
They're like,
possible?
what are you going to do with the Force? And he's like, I'm going to move brooms around.
Yeah, check this out. And he's like that dude who did the Star Wars thing, the guy in his broom.
Oh,
and he was like backstage, and he did the whole like, oh, God bless him. I hope that guy's doing well. So there was this theory by Wheat Toast 2019 that suggested he is Luke's son, who was perceived dead during the Jedi Temple fire. This is why, along with the rest of the students, Luke exiles himself. So like he had this secret child, which has happened. I think he has a kid named Caden or something like that in the legendary universe, which no longer exists as not.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like he has a kid. He also has a clone whose name is Luke with 2 U's. Check it out. It's real weird. So we posted this theory, which we put as a theory. And yes, it is more of a hypothesis, but theory, it's also a theory. It's a fan theory. It's what people get around and they talk about when like around the digital water cooler or whatever. So we put this out there, and immediately people got super angry, like super angry that we would ever dare to put something like this out. Now, some people did like it, so I'm going to Twitter for most of our reactions here. Johnny Esposito said, "That would be dope. I look at it as restarting the cycle." So Johnny is one of those people, Star Wars fans who's like, you know what? Like, I like this in my Star Wars. I like having Skywalkers. I like having Palpatines. Let's do that. This is cool. And then we've got people like, some of these are so vitriolic, Ben. Some of them are so bad. Like, it's pretty funny. Okay.
You mean that there's divisive opinions about a Last Jedi theory? I can't believe it.
I know. This is what I want to talk about, too. This is like, let's listen to some of these comments fandom has for us. Shrekaruba, or at John Little Billin, said, "I wish I could eye roll hard enough that I could not be alive to read this." That's pretty great.
Holy cow. Jeez.
We've got at Doubting Derek, who said, "Dude, you just posted cringe," and posted this amazing picture of Godzilla in a wheelbarrow with the tagline, "Godzilla had a stroke trying to read this and died." That's pretty great. Then we've got at Angron the Angry, who just wrote in all caps, let me get the right inflection on this, "Eat a bag of slightly below room temperature dicks," for daring to propose this. Uh, and yeah, and then we've got somebody who's just asking, I'm so confused as why they decided to write an article about a Reddit post. So before we get into, I kind of don't want to tread on already trodden things like, oh, should it be Skywalker? Should it be Palpatine? Star Wars is going to fight over that no matter what happens on this podcast, no matter what we talk about. Doesn't really matter. And here's my hot take: I don't give a shit. I don't care. Like, there's some cool stuff that happens in all of those Star Wars movies. I like Ahsoka Tano. She's not related to any of them other than being a protege. I like Rey.
Hmm.
Skywalker or just Rey. I think she's dope as shit. Like, all of these people are cool characters. But you know what? I also like Skywalkers and I also like Palpatines. So I don't really care. Again, I don't give a shit. I don't care what you think about Star Wars. I like the Star Wars that I like. And regardless of what we say, y'all can fight about this all you want to your blue in the gut face on Twitter and on Facebook. I don't care. But unless you have anything else to say about that, Ben,
Oh my
I
God.
don't,
All right.
really
Well,
care.
comment of the week. I guess we can get out of here.
Yeah,
Jesus.
exactly. Yeah, that's how I
Uh,
feel about it. I just feel like people are fighting over this nonsensical thing. Like, it's ridiculous. But how do you feel about using like Reddit as a source of articles online and how reactions are to that kind of thing from fans or readers?
yeah. I mean, I think for me, like we get good ideas on on Reddit, or people say things that are interesting on Reddit that are worth unpacking as potential theories. Like we don't report on them as fact, and you're not here either. You're saying like, this is a theory that someone posted, it's a cool theory, here's the person who wrote it, and this is kind of what we think of it, right? That's the post. I don't You're having the conversation that you and I would have on the school ground after having potentially read that, you know if we were youngins today or something and we were on the school ground after reading Reddit. I don't know what elementary schoolers are reading Reddit, but it's an extension of the conversation, right? I'm sure there was an interesting discussion in the comments of that, that Reddit post, and like that's worth highlighting as a theory. I think like we're here having a discussion about it. I don't think that Broom Boy is Luke Skywalker's kid, but it's an interesting idea. And I think the reason people are so vitriolic to it is like people are just still trying to make sense of the sequel trilogy, right? Like people have those feelings. I think a lot of the animosity comes from like people, it like they're trying to sort of reconcile how they feel about it and try and like tether things together that weren't baked in, and we're meant to elicit an emotion as opposed to had to all tie together. And certainly Lucasfilm did not do a great job of kind of holding those ideas at bay, because they sort of leaned into them by saying like these things aren't connected, and then being like, no, it's all connected, and you can be a special person, no, you can't be a special person. Like I don't think they did themselves any favors there. But it's what's sad about it to me is that I I've talked about this on the Screen Rant podcast before. Like some of my favorite memories as a fan is debating in like a good and lively spirit. You and I've had these debates about characters or theories or whatever, and like to me that's the most fun thing about being a fan, is debating this stuff. And you know could Shazam beat Superman, or who's more powerful, Homelander or Superman? Like those are fun conversations. And like that people are so threatened these days by a theory that they think is dumb because they're so upset about how they felt about a movie, whether they didn't like The Last Jedi or whether they didn't like the last Skywalker movie or whatever. Like I don't know, like I don't understand why you can't have that fun discussion, and why we as publications can't like raise interesting theories to have that fun discussion.
No, I completely agree. And I want to go on record as saying this is a dumb theory. Like, this is definitely not like what
Right, yeah,
anybody expected. Like, it's not. But you know what? It's still a
for sure.
theory and it's still fun. Like, I would love to talk to this dude, Wheat Toast 2019 or
Yeah,
whatever it was. Like, if he said to me, I'd be like, dude, no, come on. Like, that's ridiculous. But that is an
yeah.
interesting thing to consider because
And
you
he'd
know
be like,
what?
but he'd be like, yo, no, though, hear me out because he did this and this and
Yeah.
this and that or
Yeah,
whatever. And you'd be
yeah,
like, okay, well, yeah, you're right. He did do that. That is kind of interesting. Like, I don't like it when like journalists ask directors and stuff fan theories, particularly because I do feel like that, there's a million different theories, right? So like it's for us to kind of play, it's not for directors to have to like turn everything down. But I would be kind of curious if like Ryan Johnson was on somebody's podcast at some point and they like brought this up, like what Ryan Johnson's take on it would be. Like would he just say no, it's not, or would he kind of play along with it and be like, like the whole point of that was to be like this kid could be anybody. So if the story is made more impactful to you by this being, a Skywalker centric story still or something, then great. But, you know, I would also equally support the interpretation that this is meant to be inspiring and that like anybody can be a hero. You don't need, to be part of the chosen family or something like that. But yeah, I doubt very much that he would say this person is stupid for having come up with this theory.
No, because
Like you're
because
engaging
it's
with his
Star
material.
Wars.
So
That's it. It's Star Wars. And like this is why it's so fun and ridiculous to discuss these things because as you said, like we've done this since we were since I had the capacity for memories. Like this is and even before. This is what we used to do. And so whatever, man.
what do you feel is the most convincing part of this theory, though, that it was worth writing up? Because it can't just have been like this guy was kind of like, what if he was Luke's son? Like, I'm sure there's parts of it that he built into a convincing enough thing that it caught your eye.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, it is the fact that he has a grasp of the force to that degree that he's not like had any training or formal training in. Some of the timing looped over, and I'll let people read it. Is compelling enough to suggest that. I think that what what they did in the Rise of Skywalker, which was kind of mash all over what they did in the Last Jedi, was change everything back. So they could have
Sure.
non-canonically but also canonically kind of winked at the fact that yeah, you know what, this could be his son, which again they had before with Luke.
Yeah.
uh so I think it's just kind of saying, this, it is not without the realm of possibility that this could happen. Is it a ridiculous theory? Yeah, it is, but it is not outside of the craziest things that have ever happened in Star Wars, because there are like otters who have psychic powers in that universe that no longer exist that people are so like married
Sure.
to, and they're like there's the most
Yeah.
ridiculous shit going on in Star Wars ever. So but there's some compelling evidence in this to suggest like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, I can see where you're going for there, even if it's the most ridiculous thing in the
Yeah.
world. um
I think it's unfortunate that they didn't actually like explore like the Mara Jade storyline and like Luke potentially having a kid. Like I do think I mean, I don't know, but I'm not saying they should have done it, but like it's kind of I'm a little bit bummed that we didn't get to see that because I always liked the idea maybe a bit more of Luke having to deal with, his children potentially like being these having these kind of conflicted feelings about the Force as opposed to like Han and Leia's kids and Luke failing them. Like that's interesting to me, but I don't know. I like Mara Jade is an awesome character. I would have loved to have seen that in in canon, but
It would have been very cool. But also there are people saying, and I won't go into the specifics here either, that, oh, well, I always kind of considered that Luke Skywalker was either gay, asexual, or
yeah,
a
that's true.
monk. So he kind of
That's true.
died a virgin, which is
Yeah,
its
that's true.
own interesting theory. But that's a theory, dudes. Like
Yeah.
there's no evidence to the contrary. There's no evidence to suggest that very thing. Like it is all your theories or what you are putting on it. And it's just as valid as this one, really. Like, and that's
Yeah, yeah.
cool. Let's talk about it. That's awesome.
I like that theory too. Yeah. That's it.
I do. I like that theory
Uh
as well. Like, I
okay,
think that's
cool.
cool. I just one my last parting shot here from Paul Aller, who is a noted writer of comics, many comics, who at mentioned us or retweeted us by saying, "This is outrageous and ridiculous, and I'm going to click on it right away. Take that, CBR." I'm like, yeah, fair. That's kind of
You're
the
like,
reason
okay, well, yeah.
these things are there, and we celebrate it, and we celebrate
Mm-hmm.
all of the
Yep.
different opinions and all of the different comments that we have coming into this show. And thank you all for providing us with all of that fodder.